Hi, today I wanted to show you how to configure the Boomi Patch client connector. The patches method is used in HTTP to update a resource record without replacing the entire record. So a web service may support patch. They would be the ones that dictate that. But if you are using a patch method, then this is the way you can use it using the patch connector. It's set up a little differently. So let's look first at typical HTTP client connector. So you have here some dynamic properties. We're using authorization of the basic for bearer access token, but when in the paid HTTP patch client, it has various authentication methods. Authentication type basic. Um, you can have OR2, etc., and they are all documented in the user guide. So we won't be looking at those since we'll be using the basic. However, in the past document, like I said, we have the authorization, and then in the operation, we set these request headers as well as part of the request, the content type, the method is post, authorization is will be substituted with the dynamic document property. We have the accept string and then the content type that we want. And then we have the resource path set with the dynamic document variable as well. So that's typically how we would do most HTTP client. This would be a post to create the user. And then we'll come down and we'll actually try to use a similar way to send in the patch. So we have everything that we need, but we don't have a way to specify the resource, etc. We could put it in the connector, but documentation tells us to do it a different way. So if we look at the actual patch header, we have to use these in header content type, in header variables, document properties, where we can specify request headers. So it will be passed through the content type, and we can set our content, our accept string, authorization, which is the access token, and then our path of the resource. So this is path 6 will show where we will update the user, where path 5, we will see what happens when we try to do it with a normal connection. So if we run this test, then we can monitor this by looking at our looking through Charles Proxy. It's a great tool to use. So here the request comes in. We can see where the actual content here, where we got a HTTP 404. The reason is because the resource path wasn't properly set. So if we go back to Charles Proxy, we can look closer. So here we have where we have the header information on the post to create the user, the content type, and the accept string and the authorization. All of those are there. We get a user ID for that particular call. But then when we try to do the patch, and here you see the method, you see no resource available, path was set, or anything like that. So we have to correct that by using the other in header parameters. So let me set up the call real quick for that. And what we will do is go back and just unhitch this and then save this so that we will only use, again, the in header document, dynamic documents, and then let's see what kind of results we get. So now we should see another request come in to create a user. And then we should see that actual user gets patched. So here is the request. We get another user ID. Here's where the patch comes in from the patch connector. And so here you can see where in the in header, with the content is applied, the accept string and the bearer. And here you see that the information was updated. So here, this particular resource uh, was the only thing. We updated the name, and here you see the reflection. Whereas before, with this one, you see no headers, no resource identified here. But in the patch here, you can see that the header was passed in. So I hope that's helpful. Please, also, this is documented in this particular community article. There's a community article. This one was one I wrote that dealt with a particular 405 where the actual server was not supported. But there is a community article here that it references where this will also document the in header dynamic document properties that I mentioned. So both is there. The video is just to help as well, but all the data of the request headers is there, and that's all it is. All right. Thank you for listening. Talk to you soon.